Hello, welcome to week 7, lecture 33. Today I will talk about computational linguistics. So I am sure that most of you have heard this term computational linguistics, and this involves two of the major things which we use in our daily life. One, linguistics, which is related to language, and another is technology. So we are using smartphones, we are using various other applications and devices in our day to day life, and how do we communicate with those? Of course, we don't do like we do with humans, but then we give them commands and we make our works being done. We use several applications to improve our language skills or for various other purpose. So you might think how does the machine tells us which sentence is grammatical and which is not, or how does our smartphone predicts the text which we are going to write or checks our spellings. So all these are actually part of computational linguistics. So come, let's know more about it. So today I will talk briefly about computational linguistics. I will give a brief introduction to that. I will define NLP and LT. So NLP stands for Natural Language Processing and LT for Language Technology. I will talk about both oral and written language technologies, and also how language technology can help in revitalizing endangered languages and different approaches related to all these. So computational linguistics is an interdisciplinary field which applies computer science and of course knowledge about linguistics. And why do we do computational linguistics, or what do computational linguists do? They try to develop systems that could help in understanding and generating tasks related to natural language. Natural language means the way we talk, the way humans communicate using language. So based on natural language instructions, the devices, the machines, how do they perform, how do they react or respond to our commands, how do we can make them work for us. So that's the actual aim. The field combines linguistics, computer science, artificial intelligence, engineering, neuroscience, even fields like anthropology, because we need to have a good idea about a language for which we are going to design an application, and also we should have basic knowledge about computer science and advanced knowledge about programming and all, so that the system can be created, right. So various applications of computational linguistics that you might have used or seen are, the most common one is machine translation. Most of us we use it in our daily basis. So there are several machine translations available. So you give one sentence in one language and it gets translated in some other language. So sometimes these prove to be very useful actually. If you don't know meaning of a sentence or a word, you can get it translated in a language which you know. In fact, once I traveled to a country where I could not speak their language, and I had to literally use machine translation to communicate to them, because they could not understand English and I could not understand their language. So when I had to ask the cab driver to drop me to a particular hotel, then I had to Google translate it and ask the driver to take me to that location. So machine translation is not only helpful in our in writing something or reading something, but also helpful in very practical sense, like if we are left with someone with whom we can't communicate, we can use machine translation for those purpose also. Chatbots are a very recent and very popular thing nowadays. So about chatbots, you talk about you chat, you say certain problem and then you get a solution. These are used for customers and the maybe in banking service, in other services also chatbots are used. Natural language interface is again a very common use. Sentiment analysis we don't use daily, but it is there. How? If you use Grammarly or other applications like that, you must have seen that they give you some suggestions. Like if you have written a mail, there can be a comment on that this mail sounds too formal or this mail sounds informal. So, there are those comments on your writing. So, how does the machine comment on your writing? Because it is looking at the structure of the sentence, the choice of the words, and then analyzing the sentiment related to it. So, it is telling whether the written text is too formal or informal or friendly, how does it sound. It can even tell you whether you sound angry or you sound happy or you sound sad, it can also tell you that. There are of course other applications as well. So, there are some works where looking at some of the data, the machine can predict or the machine can comment on that whether it is aggressive or it is non-aggressive. So, it again proves to be helpful. So, imagine in a social media where there are so many comments being posted, it is not possible manually to check all the comments whether they are aggressive, threatening or something. So, in those cases, if it can automatically be done, if machine can detect the aggressive speech or the aggressive comments and block them or delete them or not post those. So, machine can do it because manually it is very difficult to do, looking at all those comments, and then of course there are lots and lots of people behind that who will look through these comments. But not only is difficult manually and time taking, but also think about a person who is going through all these comments. So, lots and lots of comments are aggressive, they are violent. So, it may affect his or her psychology, right. It can be difficult for that person to go through all those. But instead, if the task is being done by the machine itself, if the machine can detect that this particular comment looks violent or this particular comment looks very aggressive and checks it, or does not allow the commenter to post those or delete those. So, those things are done through sentiment analysis. Then of course, I talked about spell and grammar checkers. There are text prediction when you try to type something in your mobile or even in your laptop, then sometimes text is being predicted or the whole sentence is being predicted or certain words are being predicted. So, that is there. Handwriting recognition, if you write something, then maybe you are writing something any like bus, a word bus. You write it with pen on your screen. If you are using a pen and you are writing with your on the screen, then it actually detects it and the word gets typed. So, those things can be done. So, those are possible. So, those things can be done. Handwriting recognition you find in some of the iPads where they give you the pen and pencil and where you write and you can actually your handwriting gets recognized. So, if you write instead of typing, you write the whole sentence will be typed. So, that actually also involves image recognition. It is not totally on NLP or language, it is not based totally on linguistics or language related, it also involves image recognition. So, when we talk about computational linguistics, we see various types of technology involved. There are general technologies which I talked about like machine translation, information retrieval or extraction, the things which we do through Google search. We search something and those particular information gets retrieved or extracted for us. So, we want something, we write it and then we get that instantly. Digital assistant, like we ask Alexa or Siri to play music, to play nursery rhymes, and those things are played. You can even ask to switch on the light, switch off the light. So, all those things are being done. So, this is digital assistant. So, all these things can be done. And in fact, it has developed so much. Once I was using an app and I said that I am feeling depressed and the app replies me that I do not have arms, so I can't hug you, but I can tell you a joke to make you feel better. So, the way the application is built, that it can interact like humans. And of course, it is also used for educational technology, like for learning languages. One can learn new language, or one can relearn his or her own language, grammar and spelling correction. So, basically we can see that in every field it is being used somewhere or the other. So, customers, consumers, teachers, academicians, everyone is using it in his or her own way. So, when we talk about CL, NLP, LT, you get lots of terms. So, NLP is natural language processing. It is taken as a part of computational linguistics. Earlier it was taken as if NLP was the more applied part, while CL was the more theoretical part. So, NLP was to enable a computer program to understand human language through various algorithms and all, for both of course written and oral forms, while computational linguistics was everything related to it, because when you are trying to make a computer understand human knowledge, you will have to know human knowledge language yourself first. So, when we say to know human language, that of course does not mean to use human language, but to know various aspects of it, right. The way you are now knowing about syntax, morphology, phonology. So, one has to know all these things in details about a language to make the computer know about it. So, computational linguistics actually involves all those. And nowadays we see a newer term which is used more often, that is language technology. So, language technology is technology which is there to aid language, technology which is there which we use through language or for language. So, it can easily be used with natural languages. So, when we talk about language technologies, we see both oral and written language. For both we generally see. For written you may find more applications, because it is for speech you might find less, but still for speech language technology also there are various applications like text to speech or speech to text. So, for written one you see spell checkers, grammar checkers, spelling predictions, handwriting recognitions and all those. And there are some applications which are actually for both. You will find both the written and the spoken part of the language there. So, sometimes you can, if you are using a chatbot, you might write something and the reply comes both in the written form and also in the audio form. So, you find both. So, in some of the applications both are there. You can also listen to the sentence and you can also read to the sentence. So, both are there. So, when we talk about language technology, of course, we see the use of language technology in various parts of our life, but it has also it is also very relevant for minor and endangered languages, because language technology actually helps in revitalizing those, or language technology gives them more scope to be used. That is why nowadays we see lots of research works which focuses on computational method to support and revitalize the endangered or minor languages. Because when we see language technologies being available for these languages, then of course people feel like using those languages. They are not pushed towards some other major language. So, if the technology is available for the minor languages, one can use the technology for his or her own language. So, when we talk about minor languages, I can give you example of Mundari. We have language technology for Mundari. Of course, there is a very we have very less resources for that, but still we have some now. So, when we see that there are some resources available for language technology in Mundari, we see that they can use it in various platforms. Many of the speakers are illiterate, they can't read or write. So, when they have to save some contacts they use different images to save. So, maybe for daughter they will put an image of tree and save it with that. So, likewise, so they do things like that. But if there is some TTS system, some system through which they can actually say the name and record it, or there are systems which will read the news for them. So, they can't read, but there will be systems which will read Mundari to them, then that is helpful for them. They do not need to actually go or use their another language, or they will also feel more inclusive. There are various schemes which they do not know about because they can't read, but if those schemes are read to them through the machine, then they will know about them. So, that way also they get benefited. So, when we find these things available, moreover, if books are not available in Mundari, or other pedagogical materials are not available in Mundari, but those things are digitally available, or those things are available, like there are gaming apps, there are pedagogical apps available in the language, then that helps them or encourages them to use Mundari more. That way the language does not get endangered. But of course, when we talk about working for language technology for minor languages, I will talk about that when we talk about language technology, we need more and more data. We need actually huge corpus. And when we talk about these minor or endangered languages, the biggest challenge is to get those kind of corpus or data, because there is unavailability of corpus or data for the minor languages. Another problem is that most of these languages have lots of varieties, and one particular variety is not chosen as the standard one. So, there are lots of varieties, like Mundari in West Bengal is written in Bangla script, in Orissa it is written in Odia script, in Jharkhand it is written in Devanagari script. So, now if we have to make some translation app maybe, then that translation app should give that word, should translate an English word in which script? Should it use Devanagari or Odia or Bangla script? So, that becomes a problem to choose one particular script for the language, because if Bangla is chosen, of course, the Devanagari or the Odia readers will be unable to read that Mundari, though they are Mundari speakers, but they will not be able to read it. But again they will also feel excluded. So, those things become little challenging. Also, about if we are thinking of making something speech based technology, then also we have to choose one particular variety, because again the way of speaking for a Mundari speaker who belongs to Orissa is very different than a Mundari speaker who is from Jharkhand. So, which variety to choose? That again becomes a problem, because at times we have seen while working that a particular variety, maybe a Jharkhand, someone from Jharkhand will think that his or her style of speaking is accurate, but the Odia speaker is not speaking the language properly. So, there are these types of prejudices as well. So, then these are some of the challenges which are there while creating language technology for the, especially for the minor and endangered languages. Now, let us look at the various approaches. So, these are the approaches which are adapted to, you can say, teach the machine human language, because we want to train the machine so that it can use human language. When we say use human language, that means it can understand our language and react to that accordingly. So, one method is developmental approach. So, statistical in nature, and it is taken as if the computer will develop its linguistic skill with more and more use. That also means more and more data. So, the application is created, the more it is used, the better it gets, because it is taking its data from there, it is applying its statistical methods, and based on that it is improving. Another is structural approach. So, structural approach is learning looking at the structure of the linguistic data. So, certain amount of data is made available to the machine, and based on that the structure is studied. Okay. and looking at the structure, it learns the way language works. So, models are created to understand the underlying structure of the language. So, looking at the structure, various models are created by humans, and those models, through those models, computers are trained so that they can understand language. So, another approach is production approach. It is more about how the application can actually produce written or speech text. So, if I am saying something or if I am asking something, then how will it react to it, how will it reply me. So, if I am asking that play nursery rhymes, then it should play nursery rhymes. Or when I said in my previous example that I said to the application I am feeling depressed, it says that I do not have arms, so I can't hug you, but I can tell you a joke. So, this is the way it responds. So, it is actually producing speech. It can say that written form, or it can also use speech. So, how it is actually producing the appropriate output, appropriate response. So, that is about production. In speech inputs, it studies the input sounds and patterns, and based on that gives the output. So, when we speech data is given to the machine, it studies the sound waves and the patterns, and based on that it creates its own speech. Another method is comprehensive approach. So, comprehensive approach focuses on applications where the machine can comprehend like human language. So, how humans comprehend, of course not in the same way, but it also comprehends. So, because some linguistic rules are put in its application. So, it knows the rules, and based on the rules it understands what is being said to it, and then based on that it can produce. So, these are not exclusive, the production and comprehension, they can work also together. So, these are some of the approaches, but then these are the other popular approaches which are used to model a computer, right. So, rule based approach is little older. So, rule based approach started with rule based machine translation, because initially all these computational linguistics things started with machine translation. The first aim was to get the machines translated the text, and it started during Second World War. So, America wanted various texts, huge amount of text to be translated, which was difficult to be done manually. You need a appropriate translator, you need time and lots of time and all. So, if the machine can do it, it is faster and more convenient. That is why it started with that. So, rule based model was also started for machine translation, and then it was also used for other applications. So, rules related to language and translations were manually charted out. So, I can say that I will write or I will list all the rules related to a particular language, and then that will be based on that the machine will be trained. So, basically I will have a set of rules, and those rules I will teach the computers, and based on that the machine will work, the machine will translate. So, when I say rules, that also means I will tell about the different components of the language, and when the machine knows that, based on that it will work. But you know that always rules, when we talk, we do not always follow rules, right. So, there are exceptions, and also there are things which we can't actually bound up in rules. So, there again came the statistical approach. It was also used for machine translation, called statistical machine translation, which was used. So, it looked on data and probability. So, it studied the data, huge amount of data was given to the machine, and the probability, how it works, how the data works, how. So, based on that it got trained. And then we have this hybrid approach, where both the combinations are used. So, you have rule based approach and statistical approach, and both are combined together in hybrid system, where both these approaches are combined together. And the most recent one is machine learning and deep learning. So, what happens in machine learning? the data, its categories and its features are being listed by the humans. So, we have data, we collect data or we create data, and we give the data to the machine. We also give various categories to the machine. By categories I mean you can say about POS, like parts of speech, this is noun, this is verb, and all about those information we give to the machine. We also give various features. So, where noun is used in a sentence, where verb is used, how do they perform or how they are set in a particular language. So, all those informations about a language is given to the machine. So, machine learns parameters based on these features and categories, right. So, machine creates its own parameters based on the categories and the features given to it, and that is called machine training. So, machines are trained on that, trained on the features and categories which we have given to it, and of course, with the data. So, machine is given data and features and it will give categories of those based on parameters it has learned. So, now what is the third step? First, we give data, categories and features to the machine. Secondly, or based on those three, we train the machine. Third is, now we will only give data and features, and then the machine will create its categories, and based on that categories it will train itself by creating parameters. So, that is called testing and prediction. So, now we are on the third stage, we are not giving categories to the machine. The machine will have to understand by itself that what are these categories. Okay. And so, based on that, that is testing and prediction. So, various applications when they are created, they are tested. Of course, first they are trained and then they are tested, and based on the testing we say that we look at the output, how does it work, how good it is. We can say it is like 90%, 80%, how good it is. And then there is a subfield to it which is called deep learning. Here the machine learns the features as well. So, in the earlier one we were giving data and features in the third step. So, now we will not even give the features, we will only give data, and the machine will create its own features, create its own parameters, and based on that it will give the output. So, we do not need to give anything more than data. So, that is deep learning. One is machine learning and some part of it is deep learning. So, these are some of the approaches through which machine is actually trained to give various outputs. So, this is about not only about translation, this is for any application. So, when I talked about say aggressive speech being used in social media. So, what will I do? I will give the data, lots and lots of data to the machine. I will also give the features, what do I mean by aggressive and all those, and also I will tag the sentences. So, if I have say for example, I have 10,000 sentences, I will tag them which I am saying aggressive, which I am saying non-aggressive. If I have these two tags, I can even create more tags. So, now based on that the parameters will be created and the machine will tag itself. When I am testing the machine, I will give again another 10,000 sentences to the machine and the machine will tag automatically the sentences which are aggressive and the sentences which are non-aggressive. So, and if I am doing deep learning, then I will only give the data, and in the final step what will I get? I will the machine will automatically tag the aggressive and the non-aggressive sentences. So, it can differentiate between the two, and when it can differentiate, we can again build further applications to that. We can ask the machine not to publish the aggressive one or to delete the aggressive ones. So, those can again be created. So, that is how actually these things work. Computational linguistics or various language technologies are being designed and created, right. So, these are some of the suggested readings. I request you all to go through it, and I hope you enjoyed the class today. Thank you.